Even if these people were test cases, why would Shono have to murder them? This is a dementia drug, not some kind of chemical weapon.
No, but what if it really did have some kind of crazy side effects, though? Like, they didn't want to kill the people, but they ended up dying anyways.
It was perfectly fine when they tested it on mice, though. If it ended up killing someone, then... Wait a sec.
Yeah, wait a sec is right. We're on the same page here.
What if AD9 was completely harmless to mice, but lethal when introduced into the human body?
If that was the case, they'd need to perform a ton of experiments to make sure it was fixed. Which is why they killed all those Kyorei guys.
Back it up. If they're testing a drug, wouldn't they want to use it on an actual patient? I mean, it's not like those Kyorei guys all had Alzheimer's.
That's true.
Actually, it says here that they test new drugs on healthy humans as well. They're the control group to make sure the drug is safe.
Yeah, eventually. It wouldn't make any damn sense for him to start on anyone but real patients, though.
But...
Just give it a rest. Try taking this serious.
We are taking this...
Says the dumbass kid who keeps spouting tinfoil hat shit about goddamn human experiments.
The only dumbass here is the guy who can't consider all the possible options.
Oh, is that right? Next you're gonna tell me they experiment on old man Waku too. Fucking idiots. What?
That incident 3 years ago at the ADDC. The guy who died, Waku-san. Didn't he have Alzheimer's?
Hey, I think you're onto something.
Huh?
think about it, Kaito-san. Waku-san was an Alzheimer's patient at the center. We know for a fact that Okubo didn't kill him, but they never tracked the real murderer down.
All right, cool your fucking jets. That happened 3 years ago. AD9 didn't even exist back then.
True, it was only announced last year. But all the research that went into that paper would have reached way further back.
Huh? Wait, are we really onto something?
It's hard to say for sure, but it's worth looking into at the very least. I have a few more thoughts about this whole mind if we continue?
Sure. Let's do it.
Okay, so... let's say Shono did experiment on Waku-san. Why would he do that? They normally do a lot more to ensure a drug is safe before it enters clinical trials. What was his motive for testing it then?
Maybe he wanted to try his groundbreaking new drug on a real live human as soon as possible. If it worked, he'd have the cure. And he'd have it without dealing with all the red tape these things go through. It would have saved him years.
That's possible. I guess Shono was surrounded by dementia patients. One little test wouldn't be a big deal, and if it succeeded, his drug would save the world. If it meant curing Alzheimer's sooner, he might have been okay accepting the risk.
But instead of doing what it was meant to do, 89 had a horrible side effect. Death. The more I think about it, the more it feels like this is how it all went down.
It's starting to make sense.
But now, even though he knows the risks, he's still experimenting, and using the mole to do it. I know this is all just a theory, but the pieces all seem to fit together.
Going down that path, Yagami-san, that means Okubo really was innocent, yeah? But he murdered his girlfriend right after. I mean, that's why he's on death row.
Quit it, Sugiura. We'll get to that.
Yeah.
So, to summarize our theory so far. It all started 3 years ago when Shono accidentally killed a patient during an AD9 test. But those tests are still ongoing. That's why Hamura had all those Kyorei guys killed.
But wait, How would a guy like Shono get wrapped up with Yakuza and assassins? Your run-of-the-mill researcher wouldn't have the cash or connections for that shit.
But what if someone close to him did?
Someone Shono knows who's got Yakuza ties? The hell could that be?
The Minister of Health.
You think an active cabinet member is out hook?
I suppose but I'm not sure he has the motive.
Who else do we have then?
Someone who could get Hamura and Shono in touch. Huh.
Ryusuke Kido.
Oh, I see what Kido would have access to. There's even been talk of him having ties to the Yakuza. I think you've cracked it, Yagami-san. It had to be Kido.
I don't know if that's really true.
Why?
Think back to the '89 press conference. You remember the look on Kido's face? He was so proud, innocent even. But if he knew about all this human experiment shit, no way he'd look like that.
Kid's got a point.
Then maybe he was only told about the experiments after the conference took place. That would still make sense, right? First, Shono gets Kido to sign off on the '89 paper and publicly gives him all the credit. Thrilled about the possibilities, Kido proudly presents the research at that press conference. There's no turning back after that, even if he found out about the experiments. That's probably how Shono got Kido on his side. He then used Kido's funding and connections to bring in Hamura and the Mole. It feels like all the pieces are falling into place.
That means Kido's not actually the one in charge.
Right. Shono is behind everything.
Let's say you're right. When did Shono start using this guy? When was the Mole's first murder?
Shono murdered a patient, Waku-san, 3 years ago. He and the Mole may have started working together then.
But that was probably an accident, right? He didn't mean for Waku-san to die. In other words, he wouldn't need the Mole.
All right. Maybe it was a different time then.
Well, what?
When those Kyorei guys started getting their eyes gouged, that would make the most sense.
Well, that's pretty damn recent.
What about Hashki's death, then? Shono has an alibi for the night Hashki was beat to death. If he didn't hire somebody to do it, maybe it really was just a random passerby.
No, that doesn't fit with the rest of the story. Hashki inching closer to the truth about '89 was a serious problem for Shono. So, Shono hired someone to off him.
The man in the black raincoat. He's the Mole? That must have been his first job, huh?
Yeah, only the best of the best assassins would have the skill to do what they did to Hashki.
Can't argue with that.
Who knows how close Hashki was to finding out about the human experimentation before he died.
Yeah, and if he had, that would have been the end of the line for Shono. Seems like a plausible motive to me.
So what, everything just makes sense? I don't know.
If you have something to say...
I mean, this is still... It all sounds almost too...
What do you mean?
If Shono killed Waku-san at the ADD, then Okubo, the primary suspect in the case, would be totally in the clear.
Yep. Already proved that in court.
But Okubo, he killed his girlfriend right after. He stabbed her over and over. Even set the place on fire. Reeked of booze, too, even though he was supposed to be dry. Defend him all you want. The guy's a murderer. That's why the whole thing was such a big deal. Everyone realized the court made a mistake. It took the death of an innocent girl for them to realize that Okubo probably did it after all. Yet here you are, claiming the court got it right, claiming Okubo's innocent. But you just don't want to feel responsible for Emi Terasawa's death. That's it, isn't it?
Enough, Sugiura! You're way out of line, and you don't know shit!
Look, I know I get swept up in my emotions pretty easily sometimes. All the same, I'm trying to be fair here.
Are you?
So if we want to treat Yagami-san's theory like it's the truth, then we'll have to figure out whether or not Okubo is innocent. If he actually killed Waka-san.
And how are you suggesting we do that?